Alright nerds, gather around, because I'm about to show you how to stop being a little crybaby and actually self-host some shit. And no, this isn't one of those step 1 spend 3 mortgage payments on server rack tutorials. This is for broke college students who want to feel like hacker gods without actually having to understand networking. Today we're installing Docker on Linux because, let's be honest, if you're still using Windows for server stuff, you're probably the same person who puts pineapple on pizza and thinks Nickelback is underrated. I'm going to teach you Docker basics and Docker Compose so you can run your own Netflix, your own Google Drive, and basically become Neo from the Matrix, except of dodging bullets, you're dodging subscription fees. Okay, so what the hell is Docker? Imagine you're trying to run different programs on your computer, but each program is that one friend who has very specific dietary requirements. Program A needs Python 3.8 and Program B needs Python 3.9, and they both throw a tantrum if they have to share the same environment. Docker is basically like giving each program its own little apartment. They get everything they need, they can't mess with each other, and if one decides to have a mental breakdown and crash, it doesn't take down your entire system. It's like having roommates but without that passive-aggressive notes about dirty dishes. And here's the beautiful part, once you package something in a container, it works everywhere. Your laptop, your server, your friend's potato PC that somehow runs Windows XP. It's like the USB-C of software deployment, except it actually works as intended. Self-hosting with Docker means you can run services like Plex, Nextcloud, or Jellyfin without turning your server into a graveyard of conflicting dependencies. Plus, you get to feel morally superior to people who pay for cloud storage. Alright, before we dive into the fun stuff, let's make sure you're not completely hopeless. You'll need, first, a Linux machine. Ubuntu, Debian, whatever floats your boat, man. If you're running Arch, I already know you're going to tell me about it in the comments, so just please don't. Second, root access or sudo privileges. If you don't have these, maybe ask your system admin nicely or just complain about corporate IT policies like the rest of us. Third, at least 2 gigs of RAM and some disk space. If your server has less than this, maybe consider upgrading from that Raspberry Pi you've been nursing along since 2015. And finally, the ability to copy and paste commands without somehow breaking the entire universe. I believe in you, but statistically someone watching this will find a way to RMRF their home directory. Time to get our hands dirty. First, we're going to update our package list because nothing says professional developer like having outdated repositories. While that's running, let me explain what we're actually doing here. We're basically telling Ubuntu, hey, what's new in the new software store? And then give me all the new shiny versions. It's like window shopping, but for nerds. Now we're going to install some dependencies. They're more like the basic foundation we need when you are creating a building. Next, we need to add Docker's official GPG key. This is basically Docker saying, trust me bro, this software is legit, and we're gonna trust them because what's the worst that can happen? Now, we add Docker's repository to our sources list. This is like adding a new channel to your TV, except of reality shows, you get containerization technology. Update the package list again because we just added a new repository. And finally, the moment you've been waiting for. We're installing Docker Engine, Docker CLI, and some other stuff that makes everything just work. Let's test if this thing actually works. If you see hello from Docker, congratulations, you're now slightly less useless than you were 5 minutes ago. If you see an error message, well, that's what Stack Overflow is for. Now that Docker is installed and not completely broken, let's run something that's actually useful. We're going to spin up a small, simple web server because nothing says I'm a real developer like serving Hello World on port 80. Let me break this down for all you smooth brains out there. The -d means run in detached mode, which is fancy talk for run in the background and just don't annoy me with prompts. -p 8080:80 maps port 8080 on your host to port 80 in the container. It's like having a translator between your computer and the container. The -name my web server gives our container a name, so we don't have to remember some random string of letters and numbers. And Nginx is the image we're using. It's a web server that's more reliable than your internet connection. Now, if you open a browser and go to localhost:8080, you'll see the Nginx welcome page. If you don't, check if your firewall is being a little bitch about it. Using this command, we can see the currently running containers. Now, this is how you would essentially stop and remove the current containers to clean after your messy crumbs. Alright, running single containers is cute and all, but what if you want to run multiple services that actually talk to each other, like a web app and a database? Well, that's where Docker Compose comes in. It's like a conductor for a container orchestra, except less pretentious. Docker Compose uses YAML files, which is basically just a way to write configuration that looks clean, but will absolutely destroy your life if you mess up the indentation. It's like Python, but for infrastructure. Now let's create a simple WordPress setup with a MySQL database. First, let's create a directory. Now create a file called dockercompose.yaml. This might look scary, but it's actually pretty simple. We're defining two services, WordPress and MySQL. WordPress depends on MySQL, so Docker Compose is smart enough to start MySQL first. The volumes section creates persistent storage, so your data doesn't disappear when you restart the containers. To run this mess of YAML, all you have to do is run sudo docker compose up, and what that will do is take whatever's in the YAML and start all the containers within that. And since we didn't do a -d, we'll see all the output being printed out when we run it. And boom, you now have a WordPress site running on localhost 8000. You've basically just created your own little corner of the internet. Congratulations, you're now qualified to charge people $500 for a basic website. Now that you know the basics, here are some actual useful things you can self-host. Plex or Jellyfin, your own Netflix, but with that questionable anime collection you don't want other people to know about. Nextcloud, Google Drive, OneDrive, iCloud, but you control the data and those big companies can't see your embarrassing documents. Pihole blocks ads network-wide. It's like AdBlock but for your entire house. Your smart TV will thank you. Home Assistant, automate your home so you can be even lazier than you already are. And Bitwarden, password manager that doesn't sell your data to the highest bidder. Most of these have Docker Compose files available on GitHub. Just copy, paste, modify the passwords to something other than password 123 and you're good to go. Alright nerds, you successfully installed Docker, ran your first container, and learned Docker Compose without completely destroying your system. That's honestly more than expected from most of you. The next steps are to go browse r/self-hosted, find something that looks cool, and break it and try and install it. And that's how we learn in this house, through pain and Stack Overflow, and honestly, just try it. If this video helped you feel slightly less incompetent, smash that subscribe button because I found more ways to help you avoid paying subscription fees. And if you manage to break something following this tutorial, well, that's what the comment sections are for. Now go forth and containerize everything. Your future self will thank you when you're not crying over dependency conflicts at 3 a.m.